Welcome back, everyone, to the BGF Podcast. This is episode number 26. I'm your host, Gianluca, alongside of
Brandon.
And today we got some more unfortunate news for you guys. Minnesota Twins are officially eliminated from the playoffs.
It's not going good for Minnesota sports for you right now, right?
Minnesota sports cannot catch a fucking break. Rock was probably the worst manager in baseball history, but it's okay, right? There's always next year, and people are going to defend him, but hey, it is what it is. Let's get into these spreads, Brandon.
Right now it's 2-2 in our little series, in case you didn't know. Since it's a total, we haven't really gone over what the actual stakes were. Whoever loses this is buying the other person a jersey of their choice.
Yeah.
So, it's 2-2 right now, backs even, and we'll see if someone can take the lead, or with our luck, it'll probably be a draw this week.
Yeah, it's all good. Well,
anyway, we are recording on Thursday morning, so we do have a Thursday night football game tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs favored at 10.5 point favorites against the Denver Broncos. What are we seeing in this one?
So, 10.5 is steep for the Chiefs. They haven't really shown me that they're capable of smashing teams. Like, the only time they really destroyed a team was the Bears.
And who didn't destroy the Bears?
Commanders couldn't, but it is what it is. Anyways, they're playing the Broncos, and to be fair to Denver, their offense has been able to move the football.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it hasn't been horrible, but it's just their defense this year is absolutely disgusting. I don't know what it is. Vance Joseph needs to go. Something needs to change in that team, but 10.5 is steep. I know Kelsey's been dealing with some sort of injury. We saw what the Chiefs looked like without a receiver in week 1. They don't look too great, so 10.5 is a bit steep here. I might have to go Denver, take the underdog just to cover.
I don't know. With how bad Denver's been this year, I have a hard time to really bet on these guys.
Yeah.
For me, I think Casey, I know in the last 2 weeks against the Vikings and against the Jets, their offense hasn't put up like a huge amount of points that we're used to. But the way Denver defense has performed this year, I think they're going to get back to their high-scoring selves, and I think I'm going to take that 10.5 points spread.
Yeah, it could very well happen. This is the type of game you'll want to play if you're a Chiefs.
So you are going Denver?
I'm going Denver. Anyways, moving on. We got the Baltimore Ravens, 3.5 point favorites versus the Tennessee Titans, who are coming off a huge win last week. Both these teams are coming off losses. My bad. But Denver, Baltimore. My God, today's a rough one. Baltimore had a very, very weak performance last week, and they did play a good defense. They did come up against the Steelers' defense that was just, forcing the team to drop the football. I don't know what was happening, but the drops were ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore wasn't able to move the ball too much on offense. People are blaming Lamar. I don't think it was entirely his fault. I think it was more just the offense couldn't catch. But you lose Odell. Mark Andrews is, he's been streaky. He hasn't been at his best. Zay Flowers didn't look too great last week. I definitely can't see a bounce back. But I don't know, 3.5 is an interesting number for me, especially this Tennessee team that has been playing tough. And I think I like Tennessee here.
Yeah, this is another tough line. I think Baltimore coming off a rough week, obviously. So if it wasn't for last year, I think that line might be a little higher from Baltimore's side.
Yeah, probably.
But it's a tough one, man. It's 2.5 or
3.5.
3.5, even worse.
Yeah, that's why.
You know what? I'm gonna take Baltimore. Screw it.
All right.
We're
starting it off with two disagreements.
That's right.
And moving on here, we got the Atlanta Falcons, 2.5 point favorites over the Washington Commanders. I'll let you start with this one.
2.5. I'm gonna. Atlanta's at home.
Atlanta is home.
Yeah, so I'll take Atlanta pretty easily there. I think they performed to a decent standard this year, and I like the way their team has performed. It's really just been like Desmond Ridder hadn't been too great, but coming off last week, he had a really good performance. Probably the best of his career so far. So, and Washington obviously got they was 40-20 against the
Bears.
They let Chicago drop 40 on them. I was pretty high on this. Well, not high, pretty high, but I thought this Washington team was having a pretty decent season. But last week kind of discouraged me a bit on them, and I've liked Atlanta this year. They're still looking like they could be a contender for the division, so I'm going to take Atlanta here at 2.5.
Yeah, the only thing I have with Washington, right, is I feel like they need to bounce back, but I'm going to have to agree with you here. I can't be mad at Atlanta the way they performed this season. Anyways, moving along here, we got the Detroit Lions. Very, very interesting game here. 3.5-point favorites over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are at home. Now, this game's interesting because Detroit's coming up against one of the better defenses in the NFL, and we haven't really seen that yet. We know how good this Tampa Bay defense is, especially that linebacker group. They can rush after the quarterback. They can get after you. They do have some little holes in the secondary, but I feel like the front seven can cause havoc on this Detroit team, and a very fun matchup. I mean, I'm excited for this one. What are you thinking?
Yeah, these two teams are right now at the top of their divisions. They've been really good so far to start off, and Detroit right now. We did our power rankings actually this week.
Yeah.
If you guys saw them, Detroit, we moved them up to the contenders category. So right now they're one of the better teams in the NFL. One of the contenders in the NFC, definitely. 3.5 is a 2.5.
3.5.
3.5 is
a tough line.
It's a very tough line, especially if this was a 2.5, I'd very easily just say Detroit. But 3.5, I think it's gonna be a close game. Who are you taking?
I'm probably gonna edge Bucks here. I think Detroit wins, but I think by a field goal, and it's gonna be a very, very tight game. So
I guess we're doing another disagreement. I'm taking Detroit.
There you go.
I feel like I'm taking too many favorites, which is kind of scaring me a bit, but...
Hey, man, it worked out for you last week, so we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, moving on here, the San Francisco 49ers, 4.5-point favorites over the Cleveland Browns.
Not much to be said here. We're taking the 49ers, man.
Very surprising how low this number is, especially that Deshaun Watson may not be playing. I don't know, is it a trap? I'm still taking the Niners.
It is in Cleveland, maybe that's... And Cleveland's defense are coming off a bye. Their defense has been really good this year, but... they got P.J. Walker starting at quarterback and it's out front seven, really. I think it's going to be a long day for them. And with the way the Niners are playing right now, you can't really bet against them. So a 4.5, give me the Niners.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Anyways, moving on right along. The New Orleans Saints, 1.5-point favorites over the Houston Texans. New Orleans coming off a huge win.
This is where I don't take the favorites. I'm taking Houston.
You're going Houston.
Yeah, the Saints are coming off a big performance against the Pats, but at the end of the day, it really is the Pats. I think their defense is what got them to really win that game. Their offense was all season. I don't know. There's something about that Saints offense this year. They have the weapons. They have all the personnel. It's just like I don't know. It hasn't felt like it's been really a full force. And obviously, Houston's been a nice revelation. They've been a nice story. Like a good story so far this year. And who did they play last week again?
Houston played the Titans?
No. Who did they play? I can't remember.
Oh, this is gonna piss me off. I'm going to look at this. The Falcons.
Yeah, they did. No, was that this week? But anyway.
Oh wait, I'm getting the thing out. This is gonna upset me. Sorry, boys. Little technical. Yeah, the Falcons.
Actually, it was the Falcons. Yeah, they lost by 2 points. I think it was a close game. CJ Stroud has been amazing this year. The defense has been good for them all around. I feel like I trust that team right now more than I do the Saints. Are the Saints? Is it in New Orleans or is it in Houston?
I believe it is in Houston.
So
yeah, it's in Houston.
That helps my case even more. I'm gonna take the Houston Texans here.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you here. I'm gonna go New Orleans. I think if this game was a bit of a higher spread, I would have liked Houston a lot more. But 1.5, I feel like is almost a pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go New Orleans here. I feel like they can cover it pretty. They can get the win. It's gonna be an interesting one. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Usually these 1 o'clocks, we're usually agreeing on them. It's the opposite this week. We disagreed on almost every game.
Which is good.
2 games we agreed on.
That's good. We like that. I want to see the little diversity in there. Anyways, moving on, we got the Miami Dolphins at home, 13.5-point favorites over the Carolina Panthers.
And I will be taking the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, me too. I don't think there's much to be said here. We've seen Miami. They're not scared to drop bombs on teams, and I think it's unfortunate for Carolina, but they're going to start the season 0-6.
Yeah, if you're someone that does like betting on these games, this is a game I know 13.5 is like a really high number. You might be scared off by it. I wouldn't be. We know Miami's an offense that could score points. I know Devin Achane's gone out now, but I think
Miami's a juggernaut, man.
They're going to be able to put up points on the board, and with how fast this team is and how easily they could score, I would easily just bet my money on Miami. This would be one of my best picks of the week, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you here. I don't think there's much. I think you pretty much covered. There's not much to be said. Anyways, let's get on here.
This is an interesting matchup.
This is an interesting matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals, 2.5-point favorites over the Seattle Seahawks, who are coming off a bye. What do you think about this one? I know who I like. I want to hear your take.
It's in Cincinnati, right?
It is in Cincinnati.
This is actually a very tough one because we saw now Cincinnati last week especially, but the last few weeks though. But last week especially, they were look like they're back on track. Their offense looks a lot better. Burrow looked comfortable in there.
Yeah.
And Seattle, obviously they had performed to a very high standard so far this year.
Yeah.
And them coming off a bye as well, they'll be nice and rested, preparing for Cincinnati the last 2 weeks. I have a hard. Honestly, this is a hard one. Who? I'm leaning Seattle, but I'm not 100% sure.
So here's my thing, right? Seattle, 2 weeks ago before the bye, they played the Giants, and they absolutely mauled the Giants. Like, it wasn't even close. They had a healthy defense for the first time this season, and they looked really, really good. Obviously, it was the Giants. They're not an offensive juggernaut, but still, they were getting after the quarterback. They were pressuring Daniel Jones, and Cincinnati does not have a great O-line. Despite how much effort they've put into it, just has not panned out. So I think the Seattle defense is going to cause havoc in Cincinnati, and I think this offense will be able to move the football and get things done. So I like Seattle all here.
Yeah, I'm leaning Seattle, but there's just something that I feel like if I pick Cincinnati, Seattle's going to win. I really don't want to pick with Seattle because I hate Seattle.
You're a Niners fan. Take the Bengals. Come on.
Nah, I gotta take Seattle. Yeah, I feel like that's what my head is telling me. My heart's telling me to take Cincinnati, but my head is telling me Seattle, so I'll take Seattle.
I don't hate it. Anyways, moving on here. This is a really tough line. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 4.5-point favorites over the Indianapolis Colts. Winner takes number 1 in the division.
Gardner Minshew, a quarterback.
Minshew,
I don't think it's
mania.
really much of a drop off, to be honest, for him. I don't know. It's in Jacksonville.
It is in Duval territory.
You know, Jacksonville, they've been rolling the last few weeks. I think they sort of got their team back on track. I think their defense has been really underrated this year. I don't think it's gotten a lot of credit, so I'll take Jacksonville here at 4.
I know Jacksonville and Indy, division rivals, they always have that tight game.
Well, it wasn't the first game of the year.
It wasn't.
Well, it was, but it wasn't because it was kind of they scored in garbage time, Indy, and then it was a 10-point game.
Yeah, Jacksonville did look good. I know they always play good against Indy. I just feel like the fact that they won the first matchup, Indy's going to want to come back, especially that it's in Jacksonville. They're going to want to embarrass them there.
I feel like Indy's very streaky though this year.
They are very streaky. They've had instances where they've shined on offense, and they've had instances where they've looked horrible. But I think, like you said, Gardner Minshew's in there. Veteran guy in that back. He knows how to move the football. I'm going to go Indy here, 4.5. I think it's too big of a number for Jacksonville.
Respect it. But the Jags are taking it.
Moving on along, we got my Minnesota Vikings. 2.5-point favorites over the Chicago Bears.
Sad for you guys. If you would have told me this too, if you would have told you this when they beat Carolina, that they're going to go in 2.5-point favorites against the Bears.
I would have said who's hurt. I would have said who's hurt.
I would
Anyways,
have said the media hates us.
or that, one or the other. I would have probably shot on the media a bit. You're right. But anyways, look, you're 1-4. You're going against Chicago. I know Kirk Cousins wants to win this game. I know the team still wants to win. So if you want to win, you got to beat the Bears, even without Justin Jiff. You cannot lose to the Bears.
If they lose this game, I have to say though, the season's kind of over already. But that's like the final nail in the coffin if you lose to the Bears.
If they lose this game to the Bears, I don't know what to tell you, man. Anyways, you're going up against the Bears. They don't have a good defense. Their offense literally revolves around DJ Moore. All you have to do is shut him out and you win this football game. That's pretty much it. Justin Fields does not throw to anyone else. Be careful for his scrambling capabilities because he does run. and win this fucking football game. I know Justin Jefferson's not there, but man, we got some depth at receiving and we're just not utilizing it. It's pissing me off. TJ Hawkinson, you need to wake the hell up, man. You cannot catch a football. We paid you for what? You still have that ear infection? I don't know what the fuck's the matter with him. I'd rather see Johnny Munt out there than TJ Hawkinson. At least that guy plays with heart, catches the football, plays hard. Josh Oliver's been dropping too many balls too. He's caused a fumble last week. I don't know. He's just good in the run game.
There's too many Olivers in the NFL. Isaiah Oliver, Ed Oliver, Josh Oliver.
There's too many of them. Too many Olivers. Anyways, no. We've got to take the Vikings here. 2.5 is too low of a number not to take the Vikings.
I did agree with you at first, but you know what? The more I'm thinking about it,
take the
more the Bears have looked. the more the Bears have looked good the last few weeks. They're hot. Taking the Bears. I can't believe I'm actually doing it.
I hope we drop 40 on them.
I wouldn't be surprised. This is one of my picks where I'm kind of I'm gonna look back at this when the games are actually happening and I'm gonna be like, what the heck was I doing?
Yeah, no. Anyways, moving on. Las Vegas Raiders, 3.5-point favorites over the New England Patriots. Las Vegas is at home. We saw what happened to New England last week against New Orleans. Vegas with Max Crosby is going to just cause so much havoc on this New England front.
What's the Raiders' record right now? 2-3.
They are 2-3. So they win this game. They're back in it, I would say. 3-3. You know, you got a chance.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I think this is the perfect opportunity for them to bring it back. But this is also a typical game that Vegas loses.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm leaning Vegas here, but I'm not too sure about this one.
Well, the way New England's performed the last 2 weeks, I'm going to confidently take the Raiders here. Plus, they're coming off a win against a decent Green Bay. I wouldn't say they're nothing crazy, but a decent
Green Bay's horrible.
team.
It's pathetic.
Not horrible. They're okay. I'll take the Raiders here. I think they're kind of playing semi-decent, which New England is not even anywhere near. New England's been the worst team in the last 2 weeks, so I'm going to ride with Vegas.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to agree with you here. We're both going to go in Vegas, so just take that. Anyways,
another tough one.
On along. The LA Rams, 6.5-point favorites at home with the Arizona Cardinals. Your interdivision matchup. So talk to me about this one.
I think Arizona, that magic they had to start off the year after last week's probably going to start wearing off these next few weeks. So, I don't know, the Rams have looked good as well. Their game against Philly was last week, right?
Yeah, they played Philly last week.
They look good against Philly. Their offense with Cooper Kupp being back looked good. So, plus James Conner being out for Arizona, I think is going to play a big factor for them.
Yeah, it changes the plan.
When you have Amari Demarcado and Keontae Ingram, 2 rookies, it's not great. So I'm going to take the Rams here at 6.5. I think they could cover a touchdown spread.
I'm going to have to agree with you here. You made a good point with that Cooper Kupp coming back and healthy, looking really, really good in his opener. They might honestly 40 bomb the Cards, but a good start to the Arizona. We expected this from you guys. You should be very proud of yourselves. And let's move on along
to the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Jets. A 6.5-point favorites are the Philadelphia Eagles in this one on the road at MetLife. What are we saying?
I think I'm taking New York here.
I don't know. For me,
I think I'm taking New York here.
Philly, it just feels like every time you watch them, they just win games. Can they win by a touchdown is the real question. Thing is, I hate picking the Eagles because I watch the games, I want them to lose. So,
yeah.
You're picking the Jets, fuck it, I'm taking the Jets too.
Let's go!
I watch the game and know the Eagles to win. As much as I would usually pick the Eagles here,
let's
fuck them Eagles.
Go. Fuck the Eagles, baby. I like it. Got to start that chant up there in New York. But anyways, yeah, no. Just to talk about the Jets real quick, I really am impressed with this defense. What they've been able to do to start the year. I think Philadelphia's offense, it's getting better, but it hasn't been that like powerhouse that we're used to. And I think if New York were to somehow keep this game close, it would be because of that defense. And Zach Wilson hasn't looked horrible in recent weeks.
That's what I was gonna say. Even so far, the last few weeks, New York Jets, their offense, it's obviously not the same as the defense there, but it's starting to look better than it did to start the year.
Yeah,
so it's not looking great, but it's not looking absolutely horrible where I can't even see them putting up 10 points.
No, that's it. And yeah, so whatever. We're both on New York here. Anyways, moving on to the Sunday Night Football, another beautiful masterclass. The New York Giants are showcased yet again in prime time.
Before we get into this one, how the hell is this a prime time game? I know it's like they're both New York teams, but come on. Why are the Giants always on my screen in prime time?
I mean, everyone loves New York. Big market. I don't know. But anyways, Buffalo Bills, baby. 14.5-point favorites over the New York Football Giants.
This is what I'm doing to that spread. 14.5 people would be scared to take this. What I'm doing to it. Smashing the Buffalo Bills. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with you. The Giants have not looked great. I know I don't know, maybe Saquon's back, but Daniel Jones is a little banged up. I don't think it's gonna be close. It's in Buffalo. We know how crazy Buffalo is, especially their fans. They get wild up there, and coming off a loss in London, I think they're gonna want to bounce back, and they're gonna dog these Giants.
And these type of games where they do play against like inferior teams, they do beat up on them and get up very early in the game. So I think this would be another one of those games, and 20 plus I would expect from Buffalo.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you. So we're both on the Buffalo train.
And I think this is probably the game of the week on Monday Night Football.
The Dallas Cowboys
played the Los Angeles Chargers at SoFi. Dallas 2.5-point favorites in this game, coming off an embarrassing loss to the Niners last week on Sunday Night Football. Prime time again for the Dallas Cowboys. Will they shit the bed like they usually do? I think they will. 2.5 points. I'll take the Chargers here. Kellen Moore going back to face his former team, coming off a bye as well. You know he's gonna have something cooked up for them Cowboys, and he's gonna have something to prove here to show that they should have kept him around and not fired him. And I'm gonna take the Chargers here. I think they'll be able to carve open that Cowboys defense that got exposed last week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you here. I think Kellen Moore's gonna have something to prove, especially going up against Dallas, his former team. Is it? No, it's in LA, but either way, you're going up against Dallas. Like you said, last week they got completely exposed, and I feel like if there's anyone that can expose them even more, it's Kellen Moore, just because he's played against that defensive front for so long and just used to it. He knows what to expect, and Justin Herbert's been playing at an elite level to start the year. Ekeler might be back for this one.
I think he will be.
So that's going to be really interesting to see how they utilize him. We saw what they did week 1 with Ekeler, so it's going to be fun to have him back. And I think this Chargers offense is going to be a little too much for the Cowboys team. The Cowboys offense won't be able to compete with it. If the Cowboys were to win this game, it would be because of that defense, but I don't see it happening. They got exposed last week, man. They look horrible. So I'm taking the Chargers here pretty confidently with you. And I think that is the last game of the week. Yes, it is. That's Monday Nighter. There are 2 teams on bye this week, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers. What are you thinking about Pittsburgh to start the year?
Basically what I would have thought of them to begin the season. Really, it's going to be the defense that wins them games, and it has really this year.
It has.
It's probably been the second best defense in the NFL, which is kind of crazy to think of. And I still want to see more from that offense. Kenny Pickett, I've never been convinced by him, and I'm still not convinced. He's not been great to start off his NFL career. George Pickens, you know what? As much as I was hard on him to start the year, with the situation that he's in, I think he's made the most of it. Most definitely, he's definitely a talented player. And to be honest, I didn't think he would perform this year just because I thought Deontay Johnson and Freiermuth would still be there. I thought they would be taking most of the targets, and just the offense itself with Matt Canada calling the plays. I wasn't a real believer in Pickens, but without Deontay and Freiermuth, I think he's been able to come into his own, and he hasn't really been held back by Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett.
It's just the thing I want to see right with this Pittsburgh team, and I just want to see a different OC here. I want to see someone else call plays. Like I know Tomlin's very not pissed off, but he's upset. He's not happy with the offense. He hasn't publicly stated, but you see his frustration on the sidelines, especially when the offense is out there. Their incapability of just moving the football, how they rely on the defense for 3 and outs, just interceptions, putting them in good field position to score points. It's crazy how good this defense is, but towards the end of the season, I feel like they're going to wear out just because they're always on the field, and it's not their fault. It just, people do get tired. So you need this offense to wake up, and they're coming off 3-2. They're coming off a big win in Baltimore. So you're going on bye. You're 3-2, top of the division. Rest up, get ready, fix some things on offense, and it should be interesting. But anyways, moving on to the Green Bay side of things. Going on bye after 2-3, you take a very, very bad loss to the Raiders, and what do you have with Jordan Love? This is where you gotta think. All right, offense. What does it look like? You got your receivers back the past 2-3 weeks. Hasn't looked too great. Jordan Love started the season off hot, but he didn't play great teams. Once he got real test against a real defense, he kind of shut down, in my opinion. He hasn't looked great. Hasn't been able to rally. Yeah, he's got that dual threat capability. So Green Bay, what you got to do is you got to make it simple. Run the football. Use both of your backs. You got Aaron Jones, very, very underrated back. Utilize him.
Hopefully come back because he's been out since week 1. So.
Utilize him when he does come back healthy. I believe it's going to be next week because he is on bye, so he's going to rest. Utilize them and keep things short. Keep things simple for Jordan Love. Try to get his confidence up and stop trying to be too complicated on offense.
Yeah, I know Matt LaFleur, I haven't really been a fan of him.
Me neither.
And his play calling, now that Rodgers isn't there, he really has more control on what they're calling on offense. And I haven't really been impressed. I think for Green Bay, even us before the season started, that receiving core we weren't too high on. We both didn't understand the Christian Watson hype. He really had that purple patch at the end, middle to end of last season where he got hot off touchdowns. And we're seeing now he's been all right since he came back. Jaden Reed, you have a lot of young receivers, but no real alpha in that offense. I think Watson is more of a 2 to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're missing. I don't know. I just feel like they're a whatever team. They're going to be a team that I don't think they're going to be towards the bottom, but I don't think they'll be. They're just going to be a middle of the pack team that won't make the playoffs, in my opinion. Very similar to the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, they're just going to be in that middle, that gray zone they kind of don't want to be in the NFL.
And I really think they're kind of wasting their time because I know they have young players and whatever, but I don't really believe in these young players. I don't think this is going to be the young player that's going to bring them to the
promised
land. At one point, I think they're going to end up having to reshape this roster. And so that's what I think on Green Bay. We kind of got all the teams here.
Yeah, we went over everything. We're just forgetting the survivor pick. I'll do that.
I will be taking the Buffalo Bills this week, so I've been taking the big boys the last few weeks. I'm starting to run out on them, but so about the Bills, I'm gonna grab them this week.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Miami here. I haven't really taken as many big teams as Brandon has, so feeling confident with Miami in this one. And that about wraps it up for today.
I'm taking Miami.
Taking Miami. So. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for all our future videos. Hit the bell to just receive notifications and all that. And that wraps up our spreads for week 6. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.